Hello everyone, my name is Stonesy Boy and welcome back to Minecraft Zombies Return. Today we have an actual little treat for you guys that I'm gonna go get situated, but later on. But yeah, we're back to Minecraft Zombies Return, and yeah, let's just say Ben and the girl that I remember the name of are back together, baby. That we haven't seen this type of together action since the first book, because they separated at the end of the last book. Today we are reading chapters 19 to 20, pages 104 to 117. If you cannot see and you would rather hear my beautiful voice read this book to you. So it shouldn't be that bad. It's only about 13 pages today, which gives us perfect time for the end of the episode little treat that I have set up for you guys. It's going to be a new thing for every part of the video. Now, without further ado, let's begin with Chapter 19. Although the reunion wasn't quite what he'd pictured it, Ben was genuinely happy to see Bobby, even if he was looking up from the bottom of the dark, creepy pit. "Believe it or not, I'm here to save you," Ben told her, rubbing his aching head, which he'd hit against a block of obsidian when he'd fallen. "Despite what it may look like, you know me, I can't resist a daring rescue." "As rescues go, I've seen better," said Bobby, "but it's really good to see you, Ben. Only, where's Johnny?" She looked over her shoulder. "You didn't bring him down here, did you?" "Relax," Ben answered. "Johnny's safe. I left him with the overlords." Bobby slapped her forehead. "You left my Bobby with a zombie in the care of professional monster hunters?" "Well, it sounds bad when you put it that way," Ben said, "but he barely even looks like a zombie when he's wearing the pumpkin. I promise, he's completely safe. I learned my lesson when the pirate threw him. Actually, never mind. Are you going to help me?" Bobby tossed back the stack of dirt blocks into the hole. When Ben saw what she had in mind, he was able to build a simple dirt column right beneath his feet when he was back to the level in no time. "It's good to see you," said Bobby as she leaned in and hugged. "It's great to know my trap worked." "It helps," he said, leaning in for a hug. When he pulled away, he looked into her eyes. "But listen, Bobby, you're in danger down here, and the hole in the ground isn't going to help against the warden." "What warden exactly?" asked Bobby. "I thought I'd seen every hostile mob in the overworld by this point. Not even close. Remind me to tell you about the zombie pig monster." Bobby crossed her arms. "Now that you're making up story." "Shush," said Ben. "Let's try to keep quiet, all right?" "You haven't set off any shriekers, have you?" Bobby shrugged. Yeah, a few of them." Ben's blood went cold. "A few?" he said. "How many is a few? 2 or 3? I don't know." Bobby threw her hands up. "Anyway, whatever the warden is, I'm not worried about Logan's cronies. Hatchet and Flip are looking for me as we speak." "Looking," said a voice. "And finding," said another. Ben knew he'd heard whirl around. Hatchet stepped to the shadows, her hands clicking in the low torchlight, and Flip right behind her, aiming a crossbow in the direction. "We just about given up finding you," said Hatchet. "You're going to covering our tracks," said Flip. "Flip," said Hatchet. "Don't compliment the enemy." "Wasn't a compliment," said Flip. "I wasn't complaining. Don't like being led in a wild squid chase. Unfortunately, we saw your little friend running around." Hatchet pointed at Hatchet to Ben. "We led us right to you." "Oops," said Ben. "Wait," Bobby turned to Ben. "How did you find me?" "Cairo told me you were sent some snarky adventurer who said she's not an adventurer down here in a quest that was always certain to kill her." Ben shrugged. "I figured he was talking about you." "Cairo," said Bobby. "I knew he was bad news." "Excuse me," said Flint. "I'd like to think the guy with the crossbow aimed at your head is all the bad news you need." "You two caused us a lot of trouble," said Hatchet. "You know Logan blamed us for all the chaos at Fort Rot. But then when we bring out your heads, he'll take us back with open arms." "Good plan," said Bobby. "One problem, though. It wasn't just the two of us who caused that trouble, right, Ben?" Bobby elbowed Ben to the side. He wasn't sure what it was up to, but recognized she needed to play along. "Right," he said. "You forgot about the third member of our team, her brother, the zombie. You remember him, don't you? Get him, Johnny." Hatchet and Flip whirled around, expecting a pint-sized zombie to come around lunging in the shadows. Ben wanted to applaud Bobby's cleverness, but there was no time. She grabbed the hand and pulled him after her. She could see better than he could. Even with the torches, it was unnaturally dark down there. For all he knew, he might have about to put his foot into another hole. "Hey," Hatchet called after them. "Flip, shoot him." "I can't even see him," complained Flip. "Come on, after them." Ben heard the footsteps giving chase. "I assume you have a plan," Ben asked. "I have a great plan," she asked. "Lure him into a pit. It was going to be glorious." "I'm going to apologize for falling into your trap," said Ben. "In fact, anytime you'd like to apologize to me, I'm ready." And Ben didn't finish that. It was possibly dark, and he tipped over some object on the ground. It was a skull shrieker, the last thing he wanted it to be. Shrieker laughed a horrible, ear-splitting noise, giving away their location. "Over there," yelled Hatchet. Suddenly, the sound of the shifting earth and breaking rocks filled the cavern. The ground at Bobby's feet churned as if something was burrowing away up below. She took a few faltering steps back, pulling Ben to his feet, and together they watched as the figure broke from the surface and pulled itself up in its full, terrifying height. It was massive, and it was indistinct, deeper darkness amid the shadow. Ben thought he could make out a gaping black hollow of the mouth and an otherwise featureless face. The warden was there, and Ben knew what they'd stand a chance. They didn't stand a chance. Chapter 20. The creature that loomed before them was easily the most frightening thing Bobby had ever laid eyes on. It didn't help that darkness seemed to have settled upon them as the creature had raised itself from the ground, as well as the creature had raised itself from the ground. It is as well truly dark now. Despite the torches and lanterns, she wanted nothing more than run. But her feet felt like blocks of iron. Is that a warden? Whispered Bobby. Ben gestured fiercely at her to be quiet, but she also sort of nodded wildly. I take that as a yes, thought Bobby. It was obvious that Ben found the warden every bit as horrifying as she did. Patch and Flip evidently agreed. What is that? Cried Flip. The creature was so close to Bobby you could reach out and touch it if she wanted to. She didn't want to. But it spun around the sound of Flip's voice. It seemed to sniff the air as if it could smell them and not see them. Was it blind? Did it not even know she was there? Bobby sighed loudly in relief, then quickly covered her mouth. Too late. The warden whirled back in her direction, sniffing furiously. Flip's crossbow went off, although Bobby couldn't say whether she fired it on purpose. It was too dark to see the arrow, but the sound of the crossbow was enough to once more to attract the warden's attention. The creature roared, stalking towards the others. Bobby fumbled with Ben's hand, and when she found it, she gripped it tightly and knew it was her opportunity to flee. But it was so dark. Where was the exit? She floundered, tripping over a block, but then caught her as she fell. Don't panic, he whispered as quietly as possible. We can survive this if we stick together. Maybe, said Bobby, but can they? As if on cue, Hatchet and Flip screamed. Get it, shoot it, cried Hatchet. I did, said Flip. It didn't even. The warden roared and Flip went careening back into the wall. Bobby hadn't seen the creature strike him. She had no idea what full extent of its abilities, and she didn't care to find out. She allowed Ben to pull her in the opposite direction, deeper into the ancient city. Dark columns loomed above them, and Bobby ducked behind for cover. We can't just leave them, Bobby whispered. Yes, we can, Ben whispered back. Ben, that thing will destroy them. What if I promise to host every tasteful memorial service at Bobby's withering book? Then Ben sighed. Fine, I forgot how bossy you are. You say bossy, Ben said. I say natural leader. She pulled her crossbow in her inventory. She had only a couple arrows left. I don't think it's going to do much damage, Ben warned. I agreed, said Bobby, but I'm hoping it'll make some noise. Bobby let an arrow loose, aiming for the direction of the skull center block. Her plan was a simple one. Activate the sensor with an arrow set out the shrieker and would draw the creature's attention and allow Hatchet and Flip to sneak away. But she was too close, and her crossbow was too loud. She whirled away from Hatchet and Flip as she hoped, but it seemed to draw a bead on her and said, Run, Ben hissed. Come on. This time, Bobby didn't resist. She let him pull her hard to the city. The empty battlements looked down at them, making Bobby feel strangely exposed. Anything could be up there, lying in wait. But a sound of sniffing, she knew the threat behind her, closer than she'd like. Ben closed an open doorway at random. Bobby heard the click of the pressure plate, and the hidden compartment slid open. They both dove in through the opening, which slid shut behind them. The room was pitch dark, and they huddled together, trying not to make a sound. Bobby continued to count to 30. She began to think it might be safe, when it was sniffing at the door. Bobby gasped as the warden roared. Ben cut through the firewall, and eerie blue light flooded through the room. It was the warden burrowed up once more from the ground. They emerged in for what felt like a central area, almost like a courtyard, but imposing ring structure looming above them in the monument. It looked to Bobby almost like a gaping maw, or a dead portal, lit from below by a bed of blue flame. Ben dove for a treasure chest. Really? She said now. There might be something, he cried, and then raising a stack of snowball in the air, he cried, Aha! The warden rounded up the corner, roaring. Up, said Ben. Build. But Bobby was busy staring inside the open chest. An echo shard, she cried, grabbing an item. I thought now wasn't time for looting, Ben asked. I'll explain later. Bobby began laying the blocks of the staircase pattern as quickly as she could. The warden approached steadily, but within moments there was a high enough to be out of this immediate reach. Ben broke the blocks behind them, leaving them on a floating platform. But were they safe? Ben huddled a few snowballs, but she saw she had in mind a variation of her idea from before. But snowballs would be much quieter than a crossbow. She threw one as far as she could manage to hit the far wall with a splat, but the warden turned in that direction. When Ben threw another snowball in the same direction, the warden roared, then stalked towards the sound it heard, sniffing the air. They squeezed close together at their little platform, straining their eyes to the track of the creature's movements, and it failed to find anyone as the snowballs had led it, paced the area, sniffing furiously. But they must have been beyond the range of its senses. Eventually, the warden seemed to give up pursuit, burrowing back into the ground beneath its feet. Even then, Bobby had waited long minutes in silence, neither wanting to be the first to make the sound. In the end, they exchanged a nod, and Bobby led the way, placing blocks to bring them back to the ground level. They stuck to the wool floor, but wherever possible, ignored the chest they passed along the way. When they reached Bobby's tunnel, lined with torches, they led to the surface, but they thought they were safe. To Bobby's immense disappointment, two familiar faces were waiting to greet them midway in the bedrock daylight. There they are, said Hatchet. Now, we can get back to business. Bobby saw that Flip was already pointing a crossbow at her. Are you serious, said Bobby. We just saved your lives. Flip grinned. And when Logan hears that we got rid of you, you'll be saved our reputations, too. I've had about enough of this, said Ben. Bobby, Maneuver 19. Bobby had no idea what Maneuver 19 was, but it was Ben lunged forward and knocked Flip's crossbow aside. She swung her diamond axe right down into Hatchet's foot. Hatchet screamed in shock and pain, and Flip dropped his crossbow and put his hands over her mouth. Hey, stay quiet down here, he said. That thing is still down here somewhere. Ben grabbed Flip's crossbow, grinning at Bobby. That doesn't maneuver 19, but it worked. Ratchet pushed Flip away and gripped the rocks. If you think that you got us beat, oh, stop it, said Bobby. You two are injured and you have no room to maneuver. And Ben and I have a great team. It's no two against one anymore. And, said Ben, you're fighting for all the wrong reasons. Logan doesn't want you two around. Beating up Bobby and me won't change that. He extended a look in their direction. Go on, see for yourself. Hesitantly, as she expected some kind of trap, Hatchet looked to the book from Ben. What's this? She asked, flipping through the pages. It's Logan's journal, answered Ben. It wasn't pretty, but I needed to see the truth, and so do you. Ben shrugged. Logan's not a nice person. Flip scoffed. You're just saying that because he dumped you. I'll admit it. It hurt my feelings when Logan left me behind. Ben's shoulders slumped. I thought we were friends, partners. I thought he saw past the shortcomings and wanted to spend time with me anyway. He shook his head. But he was keeping a list of my shortcomings, judging me the whole time, using me as if I was no longer useful to him, and he was doing the same to you two. Flip blew over Hatchet's shoulder. Is this supposed to be a drawing of me? Said Flip. I never wore a dunce cap in my life. He kept the tally of every time you missed a target, Hatchet said. And look, he has a whole page where he lists foolish stuff I said. 2 pages, Ben said. And then Hatchet floundered. Ben said, No, you're supposed to read the books left to right. That's total slime. That total slime. She cried, and she threw the book on the ground. After all we did for him, he did nothing. He'd be nothing without us. We gathered most of the army for him, said Flip. We fought whoever he said to fight, and we gave him all the cool loot we found. He guarded his fort while he went off on his great adventure. Well, Ben said, you didn't do a great job of that last thing. Ben was right about the one thing, said Hatchet. She turned to Flip. You haven't been very smart, have we? Why do you let him boss us around anyway? We've got everything we need between the two of us. Flip sighed in relief. I'm perfectly honest with you, Hatchet. I was looking forward to fighting the overlords. Right? Said Hatchet. He thinks he's so smart he can handle the overlords by himself. Yeah, Flip nodded. And they stop him, Pigstep Peggy will. But Logan is going after the overworld overlords? That's new to me, said Bobby. And who's Pigstep Peggy? Hatchet scoffed. She's one of the who taught the overlords everything they know. If Logan thinks he's going to take her down without a fight, he's in for a surprise. You could join us, said Ben. Together we can stop when it hurts anyone else. Nah, Hatchet said. We wasted enough time on his nonsense. We got life goals on our own, You like getting rich, said Flip. Fighting zombies never got anybody rich. Yeah, Ben said wistfully. Tell me about it. Bobby smacked his shoulder. Priorities, Ben. But we won't stand in your way no more, said Flip. And if you want to know the truth, I'm rooting for you. Thanks, Flip, Bobby said, smiling. I kind of hope you all kill each other, said Hatchet. Who knows? Wishes can come true. On a cheery note, Hatchet and Flip began shouting upward, sloping path of the stone. Bobby hoped they'd seen the last of them, but she doubted it. Should we let them go? She asked Ben. They're bound to cause some trouble. I'm not sure we could stop them if we wanted to, said Ben. Besides, we have enough problems, he smiled. Now come on. I know a certain zombie who's undying to see you. Oh my goodness. And that's the end of that for today. A very short reading, like I said, but a good reading overall. Now, well, for today, we have read chapters 19 to 20, pages 104 to 117. Tomorrow, next time, we are going to be reading pages. Give me a second. It's been a second time I've used this. Pages 118 to 139. That's kind of a long episode. But fear not, it should be as short as normal because we're reading not one, but 2 chapters. So next time we're going to be reading chapters 21 to 23 and pages 118 to 139. If you're not a book guru like I am, that is 21 pages. Which is fine because that really helps counter the 13 pages we read today. So that's all good and dandy. Now for that little surprise that I told you about. Please, give me a second while I go grab my book. With that cute little intro out of the way that I made very quickly. Not today, of course. We are back to Stonesy's Reading Corner. That's right. We now have a reading corner with a brand new background, a brand new layout that will change in the future. Because honestly, this is kind of wide open for fighting the other one. But hey, we are now in the reading corner and the learning corner. And today we are learning about the Abeliophilium distichum, or these beautiful flowers that you're seeing here. Oleaceae white forsythia, deciduous shrub, zones 3 to 6, native to Korea, not a forsythia, but resembles it in the growth habit and profusion of fragrant bloom in February. The flowers are dazzling white, not yellow, lower in and slower growing than most forsythias, the 3 to 4 feet, and as wide. Leaves bluish green, opposite 1.5 inches long. Attractive purple buds in fall and winter on brown or black new wood. Buds open pink, flowers quickly turn white. Budded branches will bloom in winter when not brought indoors. Easy to grow in sun or light shade. Routine garden care, prune to bloom or immediately after. Cut some of the oldest branches at the base to keep new flowering wood coming. Ain't that interesting? Now, if it's ever going to be this short again, we're probably going to add 2 instead of just doing the 1. But we're not only going to learn about plants, we're also going to be learning about something that you guys are going to learn about in the next episode. So I hope you guys are super fantastic, wonderful day. People like, be efficient. I hope you guys enjoy the new Stonesy's Learning Corner, because this is a fun new thing I want to try out for the channel, see how it goes. Keep things more educational. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.